in Indianapolis.
Well, obviously we don't know how quick the Chevrolets are, but 2:26 from Tony Kanaan, considering lack of practice time and still getting used to a brand-new car, is pretty darn impressive, especially for a Foyt team that I don't think has had a car in the shootout in their history. I may be wrong on that, but I don't believe they've ever replaced a car in the shootout for pole day. So TK certainly has a chance, and obviously it's got to raise the possibilities of Team Penske. As you saw in my Griditology list, I now have 3 Penske cars in the top 9, including Joseph Newgarden, who I had back in the 15 spot in my first list at the end of March. So things have certainly gotten better for Chevrolet at this point. A few question marks were raised, though. James Hinchcliffe and Schmidt did not look so good in there, so I'd moved Hinchcliffe and Wickens down a little bit. Jay Howard also went down. And because they prepared this Meyer-Shank entry, I moved Jack Harvey from in the field to out of the field. So you look at those possibilities, things are looking good. I mean, it's not a situation that's going to eliminate a battle between Rossi and Dixon, I think, for pole, but I think it has brought a couple more contenders in the mix from the Chevrolet camp that could possibly snatch away from one of those two. And obviously the one that comes to mind is Mr. Castroneves.
We're talking with Matthew-Embury, popular open wheel now. Check out his Griditology, his power rankings, if you will. He does it every year, I know. And so talk with us a little bit about where you stand with it now. Talk with us about your top 10, how you came about it, and just talk with us about your power rankings or Griditology, if you will, getting ready for next week's Indianapolis Grand Prix.
Now, to eliminate the disclaimer, and I know Rick's got on my case about this is not just a blind guess. This is one that I go by statistics, I go by the eye test, I go by recent history, and a lot goes into my mind when I'm thinking right now when I compare drivers. And right now, the 2 guys that are the quickest guys right now have got to be Scott Dixon, who has won 2 of the last 3 poles at Indy, and Alexander Rossi, who made the outside of the front row for an Andretti team that's always has at least a couple cars in the hunt. So those guys had to be at the list. Based on performance so far, though, I've got to give Rossi the edge over Dixon to get the pole. And then I put Elio Castroneves. I had him at the front row at the end of February. Then with the questions about Chevrolet after the opening rounds, I moved him down to 6. And then with the open test, I moved it back to number 3. So you have a possibilities there, and then you look second row, Hunter Ray with his 231.5 last year. That, of course, that was a consolation, but if he gets back in the top 9, he certainly becomes a threat again. Carlos Munoz, certainly with his aggression, you can't overlook him. Willpower, also another one that's moving up the list. And then you look at the rest of the front 9, obviously with the Chevrolet improvement. Ed Carpenter has to be brought back into it. Joseph Newgarden is the last one in my top 9. And then obviously Sebastian Bourdais. Love to see him get another chance after what happened when he had the fastest car. And then my first one out, Ed Jones. And Ed Jones just missed out of the top 9 last year with Gail Coyne. Has not taken advantage of the new car, supposedly better car with Chip Ganassi, and I think because of that, he will be the odd man out as far as making the shootout for the pole this weekend. And then you look at the bottom of the list, Pippa Man, I think, just barely makes the field at this point. Still question marks about some of the teams like Carlin. I think both Carlin cars, despite that, get in. And then the 2 guys that I have out at this point, Jack Harvey. He was the slowest of the veterans in the ROP test. That's a scary sign right there. I moved him from 32nd to the first one out. And Juncos, I still see a lot of disarray with the Juncos squad trying to get money together to run the rest of the races. And even with that, they've struggled with both Kaiser and Rene Bender behind the wheel. I think if this continues, I don't see how Kyle Kaiser's going to make the field either.
So we talk about the new 2018 Aero Kit getting ready for the Indianapolis 500. I think this new Aero Kit will create a very exciting and thrilling Indianapolis 500.
Question is, though, with the rear wheels exposed again, will that scare drivers away from being able to make runs on other cars or try to complete passes, and will that hurt the vacuum of pulling a car up to another car? That's the only questions I have with it. I don't think we're going to see the 60 to 70 lead changes we've seen in years past, but I think we still could possibly get to 30 like we did just before we got the new cars in. It's not going to be as many lead changes, but I think we'll still see a decent amount.
Gotcha. Well, so certainly as we round up this segment here before we have to go into our NASCAR segment, but talk with us a little bit about some of the challenges that we see at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, both on the oval and the road course, and what are some of the things that the teams are doing to get ready for these challenges?
We still could see a quicker run in ovals. I think right now the possibility of maybe getting to 231, 232 is back at play again. If you saw the information on IndyCar.com, they have diamond grinded the track again. They got rid of several significant bumps that were complaints of the drivers and may have been, especially in Turn 2 where we saw cars skimming and hitting the wall during qualifying. So I think that will make things a little easier on the drivers, make them more willing to be a little more aggressive, keep the foot down as opposed to lifting it slightly. And I think you look at the road course, obviously getting through those tighter chicanes, especially the tight one at the end of the front straightaway on lap 1, is always going to be a key. If you could survive that, you're always in a good position. And then obviously getting through the quick chicane flat out and on the Holman Boulevard to set up another passing opportunity. So there are places where you can gain time, but there are certainly a lot of places where you can lose time on that road course. And whoever gets through those areas the best, I think is going to have an enormous advantage, possibly being able to add their name to the trophy. And like I said, we could be talking a three-peat for either Will Power or Simon Pagenaud coming up this next weekend. At least based on what I see with Penske starting to regain its footing, I think it's going to be a Penske driver possibly winning the IndyCar Grand Prix. Now, will a Penske driver win the Indy 500? Don't know, but I'd say for the IndyCar Grand Prix, they've got a much better chance to win that one than the Indy 500.
Absolutely. Well, it'll be here before we know it. As we mentioned, the Indianapolis Mini Marthon has gone and started. I think we've got some winners. Rick, do you have any information on that?
I'm sorry. What was you wanting? I'm trying to.
I was just wondering.
I'm trying to research stuff for the next segment. I want you to pay attention to you guys.
I was just wondering if you saw any. I was just wondering if you saw any winners for the Indy Mini Marthon.
Oh no, I wasn't. I was supposed to look for them.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Go back to work, sir. Go back to work, sir. Go back to work. We'll check in on that and try to see if we could get some information. We'll certainly get it posted up on social media as well. So. Matthew-Embury, our official IndyCar contributor, joins us, and we're talking IndyCar. Obviously, the month of May is here. We've got the Indianapolis Grand Prix next week. We'll be out there at the track covering there for the Balance Speedway Digest. And of course, Matt will be doing it for Popular Open Wheel. And so we're going to have a lot of fun out there at the track every year, but certainly an exciting time. So, Matt, talk with us. Give us some final pinpoints for the IndyCar race.
IndyCar Grand Prix, like I said, I think the Penskes are the ones to beat right now. You could possibly see a challenge from Rossi, maybe, from Andretti Autosport, and possibly the two Schmidt cars. But if you're looking for a potential winner, Penske with maybe even Elio Castroneves. We don't know what Elio Castroneves could provide for the IndyCar Grand Prix, but he could surprise us there as well. But you look ahead to Indy right now for the 500. I think it's a more equal playing field than what we thought we were going to get, which is always a good thing. And obviously it's disappointing that the grandson of Emerson Fittipaldi is not going to be running this year. We obviously wish him well, and hopefully the surgery went successful on the legs. But I think it's going to be a while before we see him behind the wheel in an Indy car, very much like what we had with Sebastian Bourdais, if not worse.
Absolutely, and it's it's always.
I
good
got
to
your
see
list of winners right here if you want it.
We do want it. Go ahead, Rick. You're on, buddy.
So how far do you want to go back?
Just the top ones is fine. Whatever. I know there's different segments, so whatever you deem appropriate, sir.
I don't know about the different segments here. I didn't know there was an Indianapolis Marathon, honestly, until you were just talking about earlier. I'm all the way down here in no man's land, Evansville, Indiana, 3 hours away from Indianapolis. We get shunned by the rest of the state because they put us on Central Time, which is awesome. You're in the other part of the state. Right.
Well, yeah, just whatever you got. Just whatever you got there is fine. Just read off what you got. It's fine.
Well, I don't know why this starts from 2015 because I'm assuming, you had a marathon last year, right? Didn't you? Last 2 years?
Yes. Yeah, I was really talking more about just the winners for today.
Oh, all right. I thought you was wanting to win a list of past winners. All right. Disregard. See, this is why you guys stuck us down this bottom corner of the state. So
abort.
All right.
No.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I will say, though, there's one thing I need to check with my buddy Donald Davidson. In fact, I may need to call into his Talk of Gasoline Alley either today or tomorrow. I took a look back at some of the old archives as far as odd engines, and there's a rumor claiming that Roger Rager's 1980 Challenger that qualified 10th had an engine that was taken from a junkyard and taken from an old school bus engine. I need to look into that, see if that's true or not. I think Donald would obviously give me the answer to that, but that almost seems too good to be true for me.
I had not heard that, but you're right. That seems like a good fact to know. Donald Davidson is certainly would be the guy to go to and the guy to know, to be in the know with that. We've been talking with Matthew Embury of Popular Open Wheel Now. We got just a couple more minutes left in the segment here, and we get ready to go into our NASCAR segment. Matthew, as we put together our list of what I call legend drivers, let's say the family drivers, the Foyts, the Fittipaldis, as we talked about, do you think that we will see a legend driver in Victory Lane this year? Perhaps maybe Foyt?
The best chance I have right now is probably Marco Andretti, based on that he's shown more competitive than he has in recent years coming into Indy, considering he's, getting finishes a 12th or better in all 4 events so far. If he gets another one at the Indy Car Grand Prix, I think there is a reason to believe I have him like the second out from making the shootout, which obviously he could make it in. But I think you look at the other ones right now, the Foyt team, Kanan's there, but I still think it's a long shot for Kanan. And obviously Fittipaldi's out of play now, unfortunately. But who knows? Maybe I know the fans would love to see Marco win it, but it's going to be tough, especially when he's got a challenge from 5 teammates that have the same car and maybe better on paper than Marco is, especially if you're talking about like a Munoz, a Hunter Ray, or an Alexander Rossi.
Gotcha. Well, we'll certainly see what happens. Matthew Embury of Popular Open Wheel Now, where can people find your work and your masterpieces, sir?
PopularOpenWheel.com. We have stuff on there. Also, check out Popular Speed. In addition to Speedway Digest, we have a lot of stuff going on with the Dover coverage right now. Ashley McCummon's got a few interesting things, possible driver interviews that may be up on our Popular Open Wheel site next week as well. So we'll still have content, but, we're getting very eager for the action coming up this weekend, so much so that I may make a little extra trip down tomorrow to check around the Speedway a little bit before I make my first appearance in actual in Fast Friday.
Well, there you go. Well, we'll look forward to hooking up with you here in Indianapolis. Matthew Embury from PopularOpenWheel.com. Appreciate you joining us, sir, and we'll talk with you again soon, sir.
Anytime, Tom.
Thank you. Matthew Embury of Popular Open Wheel Now joins us in talking with us about IndyCar. We'll be right back right here on the Balance Radio Network.
Tonight, I just want to take you away. Blow your hands up in the sky. Let's set this party on fire. Players, put your pinky rings up to the moon. Girls, what y'all trying to do? 24 carats now.
Bobby, you here again?
Yeah, my doctor told me to reduce stress at work, so I come to Buffalo Wild Wings to eat lunch and watch sports. I get to pick one of 7 entrees, like sandwiches and salads, plus one of 7 sides.
Well, I like sides.
It's so affordable I can finally take a vacation.
Where you gonna go?
Here, Tim, here.
Introducing the new Beat-Up Fast Break Lunch Menu, starting at a new low price. Dine in or order takeout weekdays between 11 and 2. Participation and availability may vary. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
It's double trouble, double the fun at African Safari Wildlife Park in Port Clinton, Ohio. See the largest antelope on Earth, the giant eland, and the ugliest creature on Earth, the African warthog. There's so much to see and do, including the Midwest's only drive-through safari.